Good afternoon, everyone. This is Art Shed with Let's Be Reasonable, folks. And I decided that I wanted to embark on a five-part series in which I am titling What is Wrong with the Right? And, of course, I'm talking about the right wing or the Republican Party. And there's just a lot of things going on over there that I don't understand. And the reason, maybe I don't understand because I don't spend a whole lot of time trafficking in right wing media. I will admit most of my media comes from mainstream media sources. So I do, on a tendency, will watch Fox News, but only long enough to shake my head and be like, "What the fuck are these motherfuckers talking about?" But for the most part, I do traffic in the mainstream media, and I got to tell you, as much as people can say that mainstream media lies to you, I'm going to tell you right now, don't think for a second that those clowns over at Fox News and Newsmax and OWN and the rest of them, they're lying to you as well. And the question is whether or not you're willing to believe what it is that they're selling. And for most people in both echo chambers, right, there's enough noise that you will latch on to and in most cases not think a second thought about whether or not that's true, or try to think about or rationalize whether that could even be true. You know what I'm saying? So, what I decided to do again is just focus on the right wing and the right wing media in particular. And I wanted to spend this first episode just talking about the factions that make up the right. And, because I think understanding the factions are important because once you understand who the factions are, then it's almost like a sheet of music. Once you understand who the factions are, you can see some of the things that happen that will turn out, you can say, oh, yeah, that's probably coming from that particular wing of the party. So, for example, remember when up in New Hampshire, there were the robocalls from fake Biden saying don't vote in the primary? I knew intuitively that it had to have come from the left because I got to thinking, what did Republicans have to gain? Right. So it only had to come from the left. So when the story broke that, some magician turned out to be, I don't know how much he made, $150 or whatever the heck it was in order to do this, and how easy it was to do, which, yes, I've been on a couple of AI um, webinars. It's really easy to do. And there's software already set up to augment a person's voice and all the rest of it. I mean, there's some that I created for my business to where, I don't have to do a presentation. I could have my AI voice do it for me. So it's out there. But I knew that intuitively it was from the left. It wasn't the right doing that. And I had to think about it. For a second there, I thought it was the right. But then I got to thinking more. Like, wait a minute. They don't have anything to gain from this. And I didn't see anything on the right that told me that they were kind of just as surprised as that everybody else was, right? So it just kind of made me think, okay, yeah, it wasn't right. It was some from the left. And of course, we found out, yes, it was someone with I can't remember the nobody's name that's running against Joe Biden on the Democrat side. That actually somebody in his campaign did some stuff. And, I ain't gonna talk about that. But anyway, I wanted to talk about these Republicans, right? So let's talk about the factions first, and then that's going to lead us to episode 2. I'm going to tell you a spoiler. Throughout these 5 episodes, I'm here to tell you that what ails Republicans, and this is just me, what I believe, what truly ails Republicans has nothing to do with CRT, has nothing to do or very little to do with the transgender thing, right? Well, we'll say this. I think everybody is probably as equally as repulsed by thinking about a guy dressed up in drag or in woman's clothing hanging out in women's bathrooms. Let's not go there, right? But we got to have the conversation about it. So, but I don't think you really should be that ticked off about that issue. I don't think that you really should be ticked off about IVR and all those different things. But Republicans seem to be really pissed off about a lot of stuff. And I frankly tend to believe all that stuff that they're pissed off about is hiding what truly ails them. And it's my contention that what truly ails them is economic. And I'll get to that throughout these 5 episodes. But before we stop there, let's look at these factions. And right off the bat, you're going to see at the top here, when you look at Republican coalitions, this is a snapshot. This came from Pew Research. This tells us in the first spot there, we got the faith and flag conservatives, represent about 23% of the Republican Party, right? This is the oldest topology group, highly political, overwhelmingly Christian, right? Everything Christian. That's all right. That's okay. They can be that way, right? The next group down, these are the committed conservatives. They represent about 15% of the Republican Party. Very politically active. The most educated Republican-oriented group. That's interesting. See, it's the most educated group that I generally have to keep an eye on, because that means that they know certain things that the average person doesn't know. And because of that, they're able to, I would say, paint a picture and make it look a certain way, just for the sake of managing the situation, so to speak, right? That's what education provides you. Education gives you the ability to play dumb when in actuality, you're probably well versed on the issue. So now this group also turns out to be the neocons, right? The neocons ran the party for a period of, 40, 50 years. In 2016, when Donald Trump decides to come down that escalator, these guys were not too happy, right? So, and because he's Donald Trump is shaking up the party. So, and these guys, they don't want to play along, but in lieu of Democrats having control of anything, they play along, right? So that's the second group. The third group is the populist right group. I'm going to tell you, this is the group right now that's running the show, right? And if you look at the topology, this group least likely to have a college degree. Now, I ain't picking on people, okay? But you can tell. I'm not picking on them, but you can tell, all right? And a lot of the things that they say, and the fact that the rubrics of making sense isn't there, you can tell. So that's because of a lack of training that they do have in certain disciplines. I got to tell you, I criticize myself in a lot of respects, because I would like to put together situations a lot clearer so most people can understand it. But I fault myself in that. But I had plenty of logic courses and the rest, and obviously there's something I didn't learn there, right? So there's that. Anyway, so this is the group that's driving the train, very MAGA-ist, and they're getting help from the Christian conservatives, or those flag and or faith and flag group. All right, I won't say too much more about them. Oh, I will say they are the highest share of rural members that make up the Republican Party. Very interesting. All right, so on to the ambivalent right. This group of people, what do we know? Young conservatives, right? Less religious than the other Republican groups, right? I'm going to tell you, this group reminds me of libertarians. And you look at that second bullet point down there, it says more moderate on immigration and some social issues. I think that's your libertarians. That's my end of opinion. And again, this is first episode. Give me your comments on the other end. I could be wrong, but I think these are libertarians, right? Conservative views about government and the social safety net. Very conservative on those things. But when it comes to the other things, the fabric of what's going on, they don't really care. Not their stick, right? So, and then you got the last group. The last group is the stressed sideliners. I'm going to tell you, I believe these to be your rhinos. When you look at the typology, who are they? You got least politically engaged group, right? Among the most financially stressed. Okay, in the middle there, we look at the key features. Mixed political views. In other words, they can go either way, left or right. So that kind of fits the rhino scheme of things. And that's okay with that, right? I'm all right with that. But this, ladies and gentlemen, represents your five factions that makes up the Republican Party today. Again, the populists are driving the train. The flag and faith group, they are along with them for the ride. But I'll tell you right now, don't put anything past those flag and faith guys underneath it all. They may they may be sneaky enough to be riding the coattails of the populace, right? But at the end of the day, they truly could be running things. So keep that in mind. So there you have it, all five of them. Uh, like I said, you see a lot of different things that they're chiming in about. They're upset about CRT, critical race theory. And here's a topic that isn't even being discussed, right? But they're screaming from the ceilings and the rooftops about this. Why? Doesn't make any sense. When you see them like banning books and burning books and don't want black people to learn about black history. I mean, all of that stuff you say to yourself, what's wrong with these people? But I'm here again to tell you, I don't believe their issues are truly with the socio things. I truly believe that their problem is with the economics. So, on to episode 2.